Okay. Okay, welcome. I am here with Christina Danielle, and if you don't know her, she is one of Ray Higdon's favorite things to talk about because of what she has done with her cold market prospecting. And just to give you a little bit of background with Christina, she was with her previous company for 3 years. Now she's at Modere because she saw something she couldn't unsee. And but at her previous company, her first year there, she really relied on her warm market, and she was, reaching out to friends and family, doing the things that we're told to do. And she hit a couple of ranks, not bad, but she kind of stalled, and it's almost like you don't know where to go next. And so she decided to kind of reach in and dig deep on cold prospecting and what that could do for her business. And let me tell you what it did for her. She went to being kind of like a mid-level leader to the top recruiter in her entire company, walked across stage, interviewed by their CEO, one of the top income earners in her company, all because she decided to try something new and tried to figure out how to add new people into her market that she could network with. So what I want to do is I want to introduce you to Christina. And Christina, tell us a little bit about anything you want to add to that intro, or your experience over the last couple of years since you've been doing this and now being at Modere, and how it's really, by the way, I will say before I pass it over, her previous company was very niche down. It was a very narrow niche. It was actually a pet food company. And so now coming to Modere, the niche has gotten a lot bigger. So now she's working, and the wheels are turning and all the different markets that she can now talk to. So Christina, tell us a little bit about what that's done for you.
Yeah, thank you. So I actually came to direct sales just not knowing anything about direct sales. So it was my first company, and I kind of felt like I was just treading water all the time, just trying to figure things out. The company was newer, and so there wasn't a lot of leadership and teaching and things like that I craved and needed. So I actually had to go outside of my company, and I was told by a colleague about Ray Higdon and cold prospecting, and that's how I got my start and how I've been so successful in my company. I did in the beginning, I was reaching out to warm market, and I was a little successful in the beginning. But then for about a year, I didn't know what to do. The tools, I don't feel like were there for me. I didn't have a large circle of people. So some people have a large circle of people. I didn't. I felt like I'd already tapped into that. I'm not an attraction marketer. So I'm not on Facebook and TikTok saying, hey guys, hey friends. I just not my jam.
Yeah.
Just not what I'm into. I didn't know a lot about social media, so I didn't know really what to do. So I just found Ray at a really great time. It was actually right when COVID hit, because we were blessed with a lot of time. I'm a teacher by trade, and so we were blessed with all this time, and I used that time to cold prospect. And I think for the beauty of cold prospecting is it is so duplicatable for your team. You don't have to have a lot of money to go and do vendor events and stock up your inventory. You don't have to know a lot of people. This is cold people. You don't even want to reach out to people that have a mutual friend. You want them to be cold, cold, cold. You don't have to be out in social media land all the time to be successful with it. And so literally anybody can do it. That's why I love it so much, because I'm able to show any person, no matter where they come from, what walk of life, what age they are, to do it. It's super, super simple and lucrative.
Yes, and lucrative. So let's talk about that, because I know you're doing this so that you can spend more time with your grandbabies, which I love. She has a big why. So how did you get started? What platforms did you build on? How did you find people?
So initially I started very small. People say out there in the direct sales world, just get 2 yeses a day, 2 conversations going a day, and you'll be super successful. So no matter how you do that, whether it's through cold prospecting or social media or warm market, make sure that you are doing 2 a days, which means you're having conversations with 2 new people a day. Sorry, I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, so what platforms do you build on?
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok? What's your platform?
Yeah. So my jam is Facebook. And I started very small. So I started reaching out to 10 people a day on Facebook. And with Facebook, it's a little tricky because they do block you. If you're messaging people you don't know, they'll block you after a certain number. So you really have to build that muscle and make sure that you are just starting small. So you're just starting with like 10 people a day. And then I doubled it to 20. And then I doubled it to 40. And then I doubled it to 80 a day. Now, when I went to 80 reach outs a day, I was not able to do all of them on Facebook. Facebook really only lets you do at your max 50, 60. So what I did was I did go to Instagram, and you can message groups of people on Instagram as well. You can just direct message them. And another way that I found people to message was on Google. So I would message business owners on Google, and I'm very systematic with how I message people because I'm a list maker and I'm a box checker. And so I usually do the 50 states, and I'll start with Alabama and then go to Alaska and Arizona. And I just map out my whole month on who I'm going to reach out to each day. That kind of takes the guesswork out of it too. So you're not sitting at the computer like, I wonder who I should reach out today. Who did I talk to yesterday? You don't want to do that. You want to be very efficient with your time. And, there's scripts. The scripts are all set. You literally just take that script and message it to those people. And that's your job for the day. And then of course, follow up comes after that.
Okay, so I know you talked about messaging groups on Instagram. So how did you search for people? Were you searching by hashtags? What were you searching for that helped you find your people?
Yeah. And so it is important to note that you literally could message anybody when you're cold prospecting, because I'm offering the opportunity when I message people. So anybody, I don't really need a particular pool of people to look at. For my business, I was looking at certain pet professionals and things like that. But when they're training on cold prospecting, the book says, honestly, just to get out of that mindset of, oh, I need to search for this group of people or this group of people, what they'll do is they'll say, okay, go on Facebook, go into like a group of people that you like let's say you like to knit or you like plants. So you go into a group, you need to go into a public group. So you don't join the group because we don't want to break any rules. You'll go into that group and you'll just message all the members that are named Christina, or just, you can message any member that you want really in that group. And you can just have that commonality in your script. Like, hey, I saw you on the Star Trek page. I'm a fan too. I know we don't know each other, but, and just say your script. So the sky's the limit when you're messaging people. You don't even have to have anything in common with them. You can say, I'm just reaching out to business owners in the area. So you don't have to have a specific pool is my point, I guess, but you can be specific in that pool. And when you are reaching out systematically by state, then it might make sense to maybe reach out to, if you are thinking about talking about our, maybe our toothpaste, then maybe you would go and search Instagram, maybe do some hashtags, but search some hashtags of oral care or something like that. And that might be something that you might find people that might be interested.
Or, biological dentists, they are obviously into clean oral care products. So yeah, you could definitely match it up on that. So now I heard you say where you search for certain niches on Google by state. You started at the beginning, you work your way down. So then how are you contacting them? Are you calling them, emailing them, texting them? What's your method there?
Yeah. So initially I was emailing, and It's tricky because when you are Facebook messaging someone and you're cold messaging them, they're likely not going to see your message, especially right away. So I usually say you'll message 10 people and one of those people will respond back with a yes. Generally, that's the number. So if you're messaging 100 people, you can expect to get 10 responses, and it doesn't happen right away. I still get messages back, like years later, I still get messages back. So the idea here is you're building your funnel. So you're building up, you're sending out all these messages out into message land. And we don't know, we can't control when they respond, or if they respond, we can't control that piece, but we can control how many messages we send out. So with Facebook, there's some pros and cons to Facebook. Pros being they can see your profile, they can look at you, know you're not a spammer, and then they can kind of build trust that way, because when you're doing cold prospecting, you don't have the trust that you have with your warm market. And so when they see you, they see your profile, they can kind of build trust. So those messages tend to be a little better than like an email. So when you're sending out emails, the trick to emails is you want to have a good open rate, because people get lots of emails they don't need or want. And I'm deleting emails every day of things that I don't want or need. So the key to that is making sure you have a good subject line. You want something that sometimes you can do like RE ... and then put a little message there. So they're like, oh, wait, they're responding to something that I sent them. Or there's a lot of tricks of the trade to doing that. So just kind of research some good, I usually put, hey, let's chat with an exclamation point. But you can try different ones to get your emails opened. Now, keep in mind, they don't know you from Adam. And so they might not respond. You're still sending all your messages out there, but they might not respond to you because it's cold and they just don't know, if you're legit and a valid person. Now, what I've graduated to recently is using Project Broadcast, and I'm actually texting people. And again, it's the same scenario. They don't know who I am. They're getting a text, so I know they're getting it. One tricky part about it is you can text landlines, and of course, they're not going to get those. So there's some pros and cons to texting as well, but I do find it to be pretty effective in this day and age.
Mm-hmm. So when you're reaching out to people, are you reaching out to them about mainly the products or the business? What's your go-to?
No, yeah. So I always lead with opportunity and deflect to products. When I started out, I did not. I was dabbling in both and messaging about products. Now, I feel like when you do get your team started on cold prospecting, products are an easier sell. So if you want them to have some success, get your team started on products first.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple ways to do it. We do it very differently when we're doing products. So we'll go to, so I'm just going to refer to my pet business before. So we would go to like the Golden Retrievers of Massachusetts group. And in the search bar, you'll put allergies, and then you'll pull up all these posts that say, oh, my dog has allergies. And then there's like 50 people that comment like, oh my God, mine too. Just message all those people and just say, hey, I know we don't know each other, but I saw your post about pet allergies and I have a supplement that might work. I work with a holistic pet nutrition company. So message them. You have a solution for them. They have they have a problem. You already know that, you have a solution. And so that takes a lot of that guesswork out of the beginning. And so it is an easier sell. Now, when I say easier, none of this is like you message somebody and then they buy or join right away. That does not happen. Okay, it happens, but it's rare. I love it when it happens, obviously, but it's not usually the case. Usually you are married to that prospect for a good, I like to say like 8 months of follow-up before they'll buy or join. We don't know what their pain point is. So our job is to send out the message. And then from there, when we follow up, we're hitting on different pain points that might be their pain point to start a dialogue with them. And a lot of times it's monologue. You're just following up, no response, totally normal. Don't worry about what they're doing. Remember, you control what you do. and you are doing the actions that are needed to grow your business. So don't worry about them. Don't worry about what they say or don't say. You just follow up literally until they buy or die. That's what they say to do. So, or if
I was going to ask you to say your famous statement, guys. That's from Christina, whether until they buy or they die, and you just don't know when that right moment's going to be. So keep following up. And what would you say your, are you following up once a week, once every 2 weeks, every few days? What's your follow-up system?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different systems out there. Initially, after you send that first message and they say yes, you definitely want to follow up pretty quickly after that while it's still front of mind for them. And so what you're going to do is 2 days later, you're going to say, hey, what did you like about the video? Which, by the way, that's the system. Send, whether it's product or opportunity, send the initial message. They say yes, you send a video, ask them to tell you when they finish watching it. Most of them don't. It's okay. But then you come back in 2 days and say, hey, what did you like about the video? After that, I usually do a weekly follow-up for a month. They're considered a hot lead for the first month. So you want to be front of mind with them in that first month. After that, I put them on a monthly drip, a monthly follow-up drip. And it usually can just be whatever the promo is that month. It could be the promo, like, oh, we had 10% off enrollment kits recently. Hey, I just want to let you know all of our starter packs are 10% off right now. Do you have time to hop on the phone real quick and chat about this? Something like that. So it can be around the monthly promo, or it can just be inviting them to a Zoom, asking them to hop on the phone. A story is very powerful. So a testimonial or a story. Hey, I know we were talking about hair loss. This is one of my friends in the company, and these are her results over a month of taking our collagen. Would you be interested in taking a look at the product again? So just things like that. You want to be sure when you're following up, you ask a question. People don't want to be rude, especially Americans. Americans don't want to be rude. They feel like if you ask a question, they have to answer. And that's our goal, is just dialogue. We need to know, we're building rapport. When you don't cold prospect, you're building rapport before the ask. Well, this method, you build rapport after they say yes. That's when you start building that rapport, learning about them, talking to them, dripping on them. That's your job, is building rapport after. So that's
really good. So I know that, we talked about finding groups on Facebook. And so, she said before she would, find pet related groups. Well, guys, we also have weight loss. And let me tell you, there are so many different public weight loss groups that you can search for. And so here's why we say do public, because when you go public in a public Facebook group, you don't have to follow the rules. Guys, you haven't joined the group. You don't have to abide by whatever they specify the rules. If it's a private group, you do, you can get kicked out. So with a public group, you can actually go in, you can see the members, you can see posts in the group, you can follow up with them, you can meet a need that they've already said that they are looking for. They're looking for a way to solve a problem, and you can send them a solution. Now, I know that you work on social media. You also work in Project Broadcast. You've also worked through email. Talk to us about your follow-up system, because I've heard you, I know your follow-up system is, some of it's done in Project Broadcast, but I've heard you also just say you use a notebook. So talk to us about how you keep track, because, when you're prospecting 80 people a day, that adds up. How do you keep track of everyone, and when to follow up and how to follow up?
Yeah. So initially I was using, a notebook, and I highly recommend that if you're starting out, go ahead and start with a notebook. So what I did was, or you can have like a desk calendar, that works too. And initially I was just reaching out to 10 people a day. So my numbers weren't insane yet. So what I would do is, like, let's say today, I think it's the 22nd, right? So let's say I sent out 10 messages and one of them came back and said, yes, I'd love to hear more. And I send them the video. The minute I send that video, 2 days from now, so on the 24th, I'm going to write on my calendar, follow up with JoJo on Facebook. That's all I need to know. I just need to know her name, because then I know I need to know where to find her. Where did I find her? Was it Instagram? Was it Facebook? Was it email? And then I can pull her up. I can go back and look at our conversation, see what she needs now, and then send her what she needs. And that goes the same for any follow-up that I do. I make sure when I send the message, that I look a week from now, I'll put her name down, or a month from now, wherever I'm at with the follow-up, I'll write her name down, because once I am talking to somebody, I want to be able to just forget about it and know that her name is written down somewhere. She's going to get a follow-up. That doesn't mean don't finish your conversation with her. Of course, you're going to continue the dialogue, but just know that you already wrote her name down a month from now. So don't worry if things drop off or taper off. It's okay. Her name's written down somewhere. And so I always do my follow-ups that way, to where, and that being said, sometimes I'll send out 40 messages and then 4 people will come back to me, but I'll be at the park with the kids. I'm not answering those messages when I'm at the park with my kids. I like to enjoy the time that I have with my family. And so what'll happen is I will just leave them unread. And so you can leave the little blue check mark and leave it unread. And then when you come back, you can come back to your house, you have your calendar there. And then when you're ready to put them in, then you answer the question, then you open that message. And you can do that with email as well. I'll leave it unread if I'm out and I can't write them down somewhere. The minute I open it, I want to write their name down somewhere, because if I don't, I'll forget, and I don't want to lose anybody. And I've learned the hard way about losing prospects to other people in the company. And I always learn from those incidents. I'll go back and look at our messages. Let's say I'm messaging somebody for like a year and then they join with somebody else in my company. Well, I'll go back and look and I'll say, yeah, I dropped the ball on this girl. Like, that was on me. That was my fault. And it just helps you be better at follow-up. It's not fun when that happens because you've invested a lot of time, but own it and know that, you can improve your follow-up game just by, making sure these people don't slip through the cracks. So I would say my follow-up game is very strong. I call myself the follow-up queen. I definitely don't want people falling through the cracks, because I work really hard at them. So I really want to benefit from it.
Oh, that's so good. I hope you guys are getting a ton of value out of this. We can't thank you enough, Christina, for sharing some of, the tips and tricks you've learned along the way. She's learned the hard way. She figured out how to make this work. She learned what to do and what not to do the hard way. So thank you for sharing that. So on the follow-up, I do want to add this in. So I know you've heard this before, right? 80% of sales are made on 5 or more exposures. Guys, that number has gone up. There's so much stimulation. There's so much noise on social media. They're now saying that 80% of sales are made on 8 or more exposures. So when she said she gets intensive that first month, get intensive, reach out to them at least 7 times in the first month, and then follow up with them once a month, twice a month, until when they buy or they die. So I look at prospecting much differently now. Before it was, okay, can I get them on the first try? Now I don't even let it phase me. I don't even look at the results until I've talked to them at least 8 or more times. That's my goal. Is I'm looking at how many messages can I put in front of them until they buy or they die. So, or they say stop, right? If somebody says, not interested, no, thank you, take me off your list, you want to respect that. So, so that's what I want to say about follow-up. I've also tried to get smarter. So I used to be not that great at following up, guys. I'll just be honest with you. I will say it was probably one of my weakest links in the way that I operate my business. Now it's one of my up and coming strengths. So my weakness is now one of my strengths. If there's something that you're not good at, find ways to create systems in place that will help you get better at it. So what I've done for myself is, I used to be really bad about meeting people anywhere, at the doctor's office, grocery store, at an airport, getting their name and their number. I got their interest, they wanted more information, and then dropping the ball and not following up. Well, so what I've done to safeguard systems so that I don't let that happen anymore is I've created a warm market drip campaign and project broadcast. So when I talk to people that want more information from me, I can automatically enter their information into my project broadcast, and it will automatically send them those exposures the first month. And then I just have to go in and find their tag, that their warm market that I've met, and follow up with them once a month. That's on me to keep following up with them. So if you know that you're not great at follow-up, find a system that's going to help you do it better. If you're doing it in a notebook, you don't have to build your business with Project Broadcast, guys. People have made a lot of money with network marketing before Project Broadcast ever existed. If you are using a notebook and you're writing people's names down, or you're using an Excel sheet, make columns so you can actually track, okay, what message am I on? Am I on the third message, the fourth message, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh? Your goal is to get to 8 to 12 messages minimum, and then you're just going to follow up with them monthly. So make a spreadsheet, make it your goal to take that person through the process to get to that 8 to 12 messages. So Christina, you've talked to a lot of people that have been strangers, and do you get a lot of hate back when you reach out to people? I know people are scared of that, right? What if somebody chews them out or tells them, I can't believe you contacted me? Do you get that?
So it's actually really rare that I get those messages. I can probably count on both hands, and I've sent out thousands and thousands and thousands of messages. I think the inclination more is for them just to ignore the message if they're not interested. Of course, you do get smart Alex that decide they want to respond. And a lot of times those are really comical. So I just go with it, or I'll block them. If it's vulgar, I'll block them, but it's just people who are probably hurting and want to pass on that hurt to somebody else. I will say though, that mindset is very important in this game. We can't control what people say, think, do, none of that. And so for me, I don't worry about that. I'm worrying more about what I can control. They don't pay my bills. So they're not going to offer me a solution for my retirement. So for me, I really just focus on doing my activities. And if they decide to send me something hateful, I'll just, I usually just block them, or, I used to say, hope your day gets better, but I think that kind of is like a sting for them. And I don't want to hurt them any more than clearly they've already been hurt. And so I really just, if it's directed at me, like, why would you message me this? I'll just say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. No worries. Sorry about that. Oops. I'll say oops or something like that. Like, I'll own it. Whatever I did to molest them or bother them, I'll own that. But no, it's so rare that I get it, and it doesn't bother me at all. And you want to make sure, if you do have mindset issues with this, if they say no, it doesn't really matter, because you're never, they're completely cold. They don't even have a mutual friend with you. They're not even in the same group as you. You don't join these groups that you're messaging. So it's a non-issue if they say no. And then, you want to make sure with your mindset, you're just really focusing on doing your activities and having, if you do struggle with mindset, you do want to do mindset work before you do this. And like Ray says, as soon as you do recruit somebody, use that time to go prospect, because you're on a high and you could use that energy. And people feel energy. They feel desperation. Don't be desperate. Know that this is not going to bring you an instant sale or join. It's not happening. So that's not our goal when we cold prospect. Our goal is to fill our funnel with people that we would probably never have met before this. So that's your goal, and you're doing it. You're doing it by sending those messages out. So congratulations, you're doing it. You're fulfilling your goal. We just want to make sure that our mindset is right, and that we're not hungry or desperate, or, just knowing that any negative responses are just rolling right off of our back, because it doesn't affect us in any way.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing about desperation. Desperation comes when you have 2 or 3 people in your funnel, and you're just praying that one of them is going to say yes. Guys, the desperation goes away when you're talking to so many people. You don't even remember the one that told you no yesterday. So keep that in mind. This is a way to fill your funnel. This is a way to try something new. See it as an exciting thing that now you have a head start. You know a heck of a lot more than Christina did when she first started doing this a couple of years ago. So she already gave you a head start. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And I will say that thank goodness, guys, she didn't let a hater stop her from doing this, from keep it going. Because when I get a hater, or if I get hate, I see it as I'm doing something right. Because if you're going to stay in your comfort zone and you're going to live small the rest of your life, you won't have any haters, you won't have any jealousy. But if you put yourself out there and you're daring for more, and you're dreaming for more, and you're working hard for your family to build other people's dreams and not just your own, then yeah, there's going to be haters, but that's okay. That just means you're doing something right. So Christina, we so appreciate you. Do you have any closing thoughts before we close out?
No, but I'm happy to help anybody. If anybody needs help, I'm sure you'll be doing other trainings on this as well. So it's a process. Oh, I will mention one thing. The month that I switched over from my paper notebooks to technology, because there are CRMs that will organize all your follow-ups for you. I particularly use one called TeamZ, but the month that I switched all my papers over to TeamZ is the month that I beat my upline's recruiting record that month, because I was forced to do all of those follow-ups in 1 month. And it just shows you that the money is in the follow-ups. It's not in the initial reach out. It's in the follow-ups. And I saw that firsthand when I switched from paper to tech, that I had so many recruits that month just from doing extra follow-ups, because I was forced to go through all of those. So follow-up is key. It really is. When anybody comes to me and says, cold prospecting doesn't work, and I'm thinking, it's the cold prospecting works because you're filling your funnel. But if your goal and motivation is results, then those come with the follow-up. The results come with the follow-up.
Yeah. And would you say it's accurate? Because we don't want people to look at the results right away. So whatever I tell people, that if they want to try something new, I say just focus on the activity for the first 90 days and then evaluate your results. Would you say 90 days will give them a good footing to see, if they can evaluate if something's working?
Yeah, I do. Usually it's about 3 months from when you start talking to somebody is when you'll start to see some results. And absolutely, I definitely say, marry the activity, divorce the results. You'll get all the results. I promise you, you'll get all the trips, you'll get all the cash, you'll get all the awards. I promise you, it will come. We don't have to focus on it. We know the company is always going to dangle little carrots in front of us, and that's great. And you can have some focused activities. You can kind of backwards design from those results that you want. You can backwards design it, but make sure that you're backwards designing your activities. Like, well, Christina said, if I reach out to 10 people, probably one conversation will get me one conversation a day. Well, in order to get XYZ, I probably need 3 conversations a day. So I should probably reach out to 30 people a day. So make sure you backwards design to where you are focused, hyper-focused on those activities. And then don't worry. I promise you, it'll all come.
Okay, so bottom line, guys, we don't even want you to start implementing this or even try this unless you're committed to doing it for 90 days. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time. So focus on the activity, not the results. And for those of you that might ask, you were saying Team Z as in zebra, correct? Because I know people are going to ask about that follow-up system.
Yeah, so it's TEAMZY.
Oh, ZY. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm glad we clarified that. So thank you guys for watching this segment. I hope this helps you if you are exploring adding cold prospecting into your funnel. If you have any questions, reach out, and thanks for being on here today.